Anyways, so yes, he, I have seen Passengers. Passengers is a sci-fi movie, sci-fi Titanic movie, basically. Sort of Titanic, but not ending like the Titanic. Spoilers. um, Sci-fi. Yeah, this is going to contain spoilers because this movie is, well, not doing well on Rotten Tomatoes. It just came out. It's got like a 33 or something. It's got Jennifer Lawrence is the lead, and we have I keep saying Brad Pitt, but it's not. It's Chris Pratt from Guardians of the Galaxy and Jurassic World as the underlead. Even though we're introduced to him first, and his there's a spaceship, funny looking corkscrew spaceship, going through space, led by a company that's homesteading a planet called Homestead 2 beyond the star Arcturus. Not in the Arcturus system, that would be impossible, but beyond it. Yeah, that's from the trailer. And it hits a meteor storm, and that somehow messes up part of the ship, and it awakens his pod. And he's awake, but he doesn't know why, and he's running around, and he wakes up. And he basically roams the ship alone, and he meets the android bartender and lots of little robots and things and little duster things. And basically wander around this empty ship. There's 250 crew, 5,000 other people in hibernation, and they're heading out to the galaxy, to this planet called Homestead 2. It's about 100 light years from Earth. Well, it's 100 years from Earth, but they're traveling half light speed, so it's 50 years from Earth. 50 light years from Earth. Yeah. So, yeah, something like that. And yeah, it's a little convoluted, but it starts off kind of a Solaris thing, kind of, a man alone on a spaceship, Solaris thing, which they made was originally a Solaris. It was originally Russian, and Solaris is the American version. Yeah, the man alone thing. Except in this case, he can actually revive one of the sleepers so that he has company, which he debates to himself about into the robot bartender. But then he revives her. And he doesn't tell her, and they fall for each other after he revives her, but he doesn't tell her. The bartender ends up telling her, and she gets mad and almost kills him. And then later on, yeah, there's lots of spoilers, because yeah, the whole story's out there, far out space story. Eventually, she finds out she's mad, but then they get back to then they mend their differences because the ship is malfunctioning. And then somehow they wake up one of the techs from the ship. I'm presuming they woke him up. That's what happened. And didn't do it well because, like, she did it or something. And that they're able to have the tech fix part of the ship and tell him how to fix it. But he's all messed up from the transport, and he's the only black guy in the story. And of course he dies. Spoiler. Yeah, this has spoilers all over it. So if you want to see Passengers and not, yeah. It's got spoilers all over it, so just to be warned of. Yeah, the black guy dies because the black guy always dies in these action movies, and but you can kind of tell that from the trailer. Yeah, there's all spoilers all over this place, all over this review. Yeah, if it was getting a lot of good reviews, I probably wouldn't have spoiled it right there, but it isn't. It's not that great a movie. Even as a sci-fi fan, there were parts that stretched out along, and it was kind of a mess. I would give it a better review than the critics did, though, because I like action adventure movies and stuff. It's like with Batman vs Superman and Suicide Squad, which made $1 billion each, almost, or more than. And I gave them half. I said they're half of a good movie. I was better than the critics were. I was saying, they were not completely bad. There were ideas in this movie that really could have worked. They just polished it up a little bit and made it less about just them on a ship doing the Titanic thing, but having to fix the Titanic in this case, so that they won't die. I won't give away whether they live or die because that would be too much of a spoiler, and then you won't want to see it. But it's yeah, there's a hint there that it's kind of Titanic. But I think Hollywood got a hold of some elements of it. The trailer, the long trailer, kind of gives away the ending, in that it shows like the captain arriving in the promenade area, and the stuff is growing up everywhere. But I presumed that that picture from the trailer was actually either a dream sequence or something else, and it had nothing to do with the movie, because otherwise they'd be giving away the ending, sort of, by saying, oh yeah, the ship doesn't die, it doesn't blow up. I mean, it was a dream sequence. Well, it doesn't blow up, so yeah. So it's not like the Titanic would sink, but they do kind of go there with that. I think they were trying for that idea, but unlike the two leads in Titanic, Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio, these two have almost no chemistry. So that's part of your problem. Chris Pratt is going through the motions. He's married to Anna Faris, and Jennifer Lawrence as a lead actor in something. She's much better as not a lead actor. She's much better as a follower, just under the lead, or several parts under the lead. Being the lead in the Hunger Games, she really wasn't. It was really everyone else. It was really Dreyfus and the other ones. She was sort of billed as the lead, but she really was, they didn't just make it all about her moping around, because it would have been boring. The Hunger Games movies have everyone chewing scenery to elevate her performance so that she doesn't look like... And I like that she's a very... Well, not to say average looking, she's a very human looking person. So she doesn't look like those like bombshell starlets. She looks like a girl, I like that they did that, she got a nice body. That's cool, but but she works out. But and I'm not trying to sound sleazy, but no, she looks like, it's all right, Yeah, you figure if you met her on the street and said, she'd be nice and stuff. Chris Pratt, he's more of a pretty boy kind of guy, so it kind of works both ways, I guess. They're both sort of normal looking, and not super Hollywood done up, glossy, characters. I think, and that's what was cool about the Hunger Games and that performance, that she was able to, which was a little over the top for a series anyway. It worked for her. This, she has to play a dramatic role in a ship with one acting opposite this one guy, and they were complaining about that on the talk shows, on the late night shows, that their performances were hammy. They almost had to be, though, because of the way they structured that story. And she was nervous doing love scenes with him because he was married to Anna Faris, but Hollywood does that all the time, so it's a job. I'm sure there were like cameras everywhere. There was a love scene, yeah, there is, but it's and then there was another that was sort of a simulated one on a table. But I was like, yeah, this movie is not, it ain't bad. It's probably worth a rental in the background, I guess. If you want to spend money on it, go to the Easy Show while it's still in theaters. It would have made a really good horror movie if they'd made it like it was dark and evil and stuff. I began to watch the Stone Gremlins review of it this morning, and then stopped when they said it was like a good horror movie. Went out to see it, so I didn't want to give it away. Yeah, so I'll watch that later. But yeah, this is Passengers, a sci-fi movie. The ship looks very unusual. It looks like a cross between a Heinlein era kind of thing and a little bit of elements of the O'Neill colony and that kind of thing. If they're heading toward Arcturus and they aero brake, that doesn't make any sense, but I guess they just wanted to have a scene where they run past a red giant. I don't know how many viable stars there are near Arcturus or in that direction, but they'd have to be going pretty much in a straight line in order to go next to Arcturus, and then beyond it for about 50 more years. But yeah, we'll still forgive them that. They could have just a red giant. It was kind of a straight line with a bow in it going this way. So you gotta wonder though, if a company goes through all the trouble, $250 I think they said building it, the ship that you think they would not be. They think that sending slow boats that take 100 years to get somewhere. By the time the first ship got there, the other ships that were faster would have already been there. That had passed them up 10 years later when they came up with better technology. So, anyway, they didn't do that. There was a cool scene where the gravity goes off in it. You got to swim out of the pool, and the pool turns into a bubble. Kind of makes sense. Kind of doesn't. But that's alright. Yeah. Passengers. Lots of yeah. Spoilers there. Yeah, go to see it. The ending is satisfying. It's not going to end like Titanic, which is nice. There I gave you a spoiler. But yeah, it doesn't end with old lady Jennifer Lawrence going because that would have been real cheesy. Yeah, they didn't do that. Thankfully. So yeah, they didn't do that. So my review of Passengers. I thought there would be more to say about it, but really there isn't that much other than, yeah. Why did they actually wake the guy up? I probably have to read that. It's based on a short story that was made into a movie. It has some similarities to, even though they couldn't possibly have read it, the years after leaving space epic stoner comedy, except it's all played seriously. Except in that one, in my story, it's like an epic, like young adult journey through space thing, and they're all on the ship, and they know they're on the ship, which is malfunctioning. Same idea, but there's more of them. There's like 100, there's like 500,000 of them or something on there. But the central characters are only about 100, maybe less than 100, and the main characters are only about 8 or 9 people. So yeah, but that's something else, entirely different. Okay, we had on to previews. Sing has just come out. I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen Assassin's Creed just came out. It got 20 on Rotten Tomatoes. Ain't good. Sing got higher reviews, so maybe we'll see that next. It is near the end of December. It is almost Christmas. It's time for the Claire Awards almost. And Oscar has not pulled out any Oscar movies. Literally, we are on the 23rd, and here we are, and no Oscar movies. Hidden Figures will be a 2017 movie. This other war movie will be a 2017 movie. The Mel Gibson movie shouldn't get an Oscar. I have not seen it, but just because some of the critics like it, I just haven't seen it. And last year, The Revenant won, even though it was technically 2016, but it came out a wide release after January 1st, so yeah. This year, I guess they shouldn't give Hidden Figures the Oscar just because it's a movie where they're kissing up to the general audience who was balking at them last year for not having enough African Americans in movies. Okay, let's give this one the Oscar. Just do it right now, because they will. Because unlike what they claim on Fox, the Oscar people and the ratings people are all old conservative fogies. And the ratings board guys, the ones that rate the PG and R and all that, old conservative fogies, they are not liberals. So that's BS when they say that. They're conservatives. And yes, so also we had previews. We had 50 Shades of Grey 2, yet again, shades darker. This audience was older people, so it was more perceptive to that. They didn't really remark on it too much. I was next to a dude with gray beard, near him roughly, and it was all. Even though I'd seen it, all this looks like a horror movie, and he chuckled. Maybe it is, but no, it wasn't a horror movie as it turned out. It was actually 50 Shades Grey 2. Nobody said "oh that" or gasped or anything else. I guess they were kind of stunned. I don't know, but not this time. Not a very large audience watching this movie. It was the early show, and the early screening for celebs, and so it was not too much. But yes, so yeah, I imagine their reviews will be up there later. Yeah. Let's see. They previewed Beauty and the Beast, which they Yeah, that could be good. They previewed the Taken. Yeah, I won't go into that. That was a TV show. Taken TV show. Yeah, that looks stupid. Don't. Yeah, they shouldn't do that. But then there's Oh yeah. Patriot Day. Patriot Day. Yes. Loud and close, incredibly loud, incredibly close. Done as the Boston Marathon instead of 9/11. Looks extremely pretentious, and looks like something Fox Searchlight totally would have done. Yeah, and they showed the bad guys, and they didn't make them pretty boys because actually the Boston bombers were Chechens, and they were fairly handsome, and there was like this big controversy on the net. All of these crazy young women who were like, "Oh, the bombers couldn't have done it because they're handsome looking, they're cute. Ooh, I want to date them." Some of them wanted to date the Boston Bombers. They were that crazy. It was all over the internet. It was weird. Like, no, they may be handsome, but they're murderers. They're bombers. They're bad guys. In the movie, they look like evil, surly, bad guys, even though they were Chechens, and they were not from Islam. They were Chechens. They were mad about the Serbian-Chechen war. Yeah, different kind of terrorists. They build bombs out of things, bad things. Okay, what was the other? I don't know. It looks cheesy. And then there's oh yeah, on the guy's Boston accent, the lead. I think it's the guy from 24. Yeah, and he's trying to do a Boston accent and he can't. So it's probably unintentionally hilarious because not supposed to be, but yeah, he cannot do. Kiefer Sutherland cannot do a Boston accent. He's like, "I'm from Boston, don't you know? I'm Boston. I'm a Boston cop on your beat, don't you know?" He's like, "Oh my god, dude, really? It's not that hard to do a Boston accent. Just kind of do Peter Griffin, you know?" Yeah. Pretty much. Except he's from Rhode Island. He's from Quahog. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. You got to stand halfway between the New Yorker and a little bit down toward the Jersey side, just a tad, up to Boston. Boston. Yeah, Boston. I watched a lot of Cheers back in the day. But yes, also there was the Bye Bye Man. They showed that preview. That movie looks like crap. Like, yet another one of these movies where the crazy killer guy is a supernatural being that apparently makes other people kill for him. Which doesn't make any sense unless they actually are the murderers and the bad guy is actually just not really there, but it's really the kid in the beginning of the preview who is just nuts. Because that doesn't happen. Their supernatural possession guy, no, it looks really stupid. And his name is really stupid. Oh, we can't say his name, which they ripped off from Harry Potter. They totally did. They watched Harry Potter and they thought, oh, they can't say Voldemort. He's the name that should not be spoken. They totally ripped that off from Voldemort. Voldemort. Actually, it goes back to Candyman. That's actually, back in the 80s, there was this horror movie called Candyman where they couldn't say his name. Or you would die. Same idea. And the Candyman was scarier, though. The first one, he was like crazy. But yeah, usually that's the way with slasher movies. They're usually like the first one is good and the sequel is just a cash grab.